All right. Well, welcome to Unedited Space. This is obviously an attempt on my part to just have unedited conversation, hence why it's called that. I think if we all edit too much in society, we say the right thing rather than how we actually feel. And I think that, it's time we just start speaking to each other and stop judging each other and get on with real conversation and pull ourselves out of this dumb place we found ourselves in society. And this is, my attempt to start encouraging that and getting people that are already in motion, like yourself, that do speak
Okay.
out, to sort of perhaps, set the standard for people so they can see and be inspired that, it's okay to speak up and say what's on your mind and express your feelings and stuff like that. So it's a two-way street as well. It's a conversation, not just an interview.
Okay.
I'll be interjecting. I'll say stuff about, what I think about the world, and you can ask me questions if you think it's appropriate. So it's
Okay.
pretty free flowing, really. So there's not too many rules, and anything you'd like to share or get out of your system, then go for it, basically. So
Awesome.
maybe to start with, Joey, you could just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and who you are, and then we'll just start rolling from there.
Okay. Well, my name's Joey Carbstrong on YouTube, but my real name's Joey Armstrong, and I just did a little bit of play on words because most plant foods contain carbohydrates. So I believe carbohydrates are vegan. So I added that into my name. I thought had a nice ring to it. I am an sort of an ex gang member. I was involved with a lot of negative things in my life: drugs, violence, crime, prison. And I had a sort of an awakening. I seen the error of my ways, and I became sober. And part of that sobriety was veganism was a big part of that sobriety. I seen the hypocrisy in claiming to love animals but eating them, and I did not want to be a part of that. I had enough negative karma in my life, and I did not want to hurt the innocent, because I come from a place where I was always involved in altercations with people that were they were hurting me, and I defend myself. But I realized that animals were so innocent; they'd done nothing wrong, more innocent than children. So why would I want to participate in such cruelty? And I believe that's wrong, morally wrong. And I started to live in alignment with my core values. And from then on, I couldn't keep my mouth closed about it. I had to tell people around me, and I'm a bit of a preacher. I believe in, speaking up when you see injustice. And I spoke up a lot around me, but then I become involved in social media, and I found out how much more powerful that is on social media to speak up on there. You have such much more of an audience, so many more. It's just the outreach is a lot bigger. And then I focused a lot of my activism and my speaking on social media, and it's just gone from there.
Yeah, I've seen what you're doing, Joey. I think it's great. And one thing I do love about what you do is that you don't pull any punches, but you're smart about it.
Tactful.
You're not stupid the way you approach people, but at the same time, you're not editing. You go in, you say what needs to be said, and I think that for me personally, if everyone in their own way was speaking up to the level you are, I think we could make change very quickly. I just think everyone thinks we've got to be polite and say the right thing, but when you think about it, I agree with you. These animals are, it's just unbelievable that we could be taking advantage of their lives when they have no power, no say, almost no laws protecting them. A couple of little piddly little laws out there that really are rarely enforced or anything's ever done. Yeah. And it's as disgusting as what it is. And I think it's disgusting as what you say. And I think we have a responsibility to speak up and not be scared of hurting people's feelings and all that kind of stuff that I see too many vegans are concerned about. You don't want to push people, but if you see it in the truth of the light of what the topic is, then, what is it in you that gave you the strength to speak up to the degree that you do?
I feel that I've been involved in a lot of confrontations in my life, like really serious ones. And I feel like I might have developed a bit of courage from that. Yeah. And I know how to handle people. I know how to diffuse situations, and I know how to talk to people so that I can get away with what I can get away with, but obviously being very tactful and leading them to their own realization. So I like to offer them questions that leads them to their own sort of truth, and then I can just say the right things, and they'll go, oh yeah, and I'm also not afraid of getting punched in the face. But I don't. I obviously I treat people with respect that they deserve, and I just let them realize that the stuff they're saying is hypocritical, and I do it in a clever way, which I think is the best way. Education over anger and things like that.
So, when you say you're not scared of getting punched in the face, I presume that means you've had a fairly rough, tough life when you were younger. Is that what it is? So you've sort of lost your fear of those sort of things, and
well, it's still there, but it's not as profound as some other people might have. Like I know how to handle myself, and if someone threw a punch, I could, I would never engage in a physical fight with someone. But if they were prepared to hit me over something I said, I could handle myself. But so that might be part of it. So I'd get a little bit more cheeky, and but I feel I always keep the animals in mind. I think what they are going through is way worse than me getting in some confrontation that gives me a bit of anxiety. It's like I always focus on the reason why I'm doing it, and because I've gone out sometimes to do some activism, and I've wanted to turn back. I'm like, all these questions are a little bit controversial, and then I thought, wait a second, am I doing this for me, or am I doing it for the chicken in the cage about to get its head chopped off? I said, who's got it worse? So I think perspective is very important when doing activism and stuff.
Yeah, look, I think that is huge. I think it's too easy to make it about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, you are losing the point. And then when you make it about yourself, then you bring, of course, we're all walking around with some levels of insecurities or fears, and then they get in the way.
Definitely.
Whereas I think, and to me, there's still an element of speciesism in the vegan movement. Like, we say that we love animals, but I think we're still treating them like they're less. We're asking people to not hurt them. But I really think if they were humans being treated that way, we'd all be acting a lot more powerful. Yeah, more like, I think to me, you're more sitting in the truth of what's really going on. And I think we can all raise the bar on that regard and challenge ourselves a bit more and make some movement happen. So why do you think, you're out talking to people a lot and you're out in the street, so you're getting a good feel and vibe for the public. Why do you think it is that we're finding this situation that, here we are in 2016 and human beings are still continuing to behave in a way that is obviously not just damaging to animals or the environment or whatever else gets hurt by it, but ultimately it's damaging to themselves. They're allowing themselves to function in an unhealthy headspace, because only an unhealthy headspace would justify abuse and cruelty, right? A healthy person wouldn't do that.
Of course.
So why do you think the majority of society is so unhealthy mentally?
Well, it's just people are up against a barrage, a tsunami of programming and indoctrination, and it not only stems from media and corporate advertising. It actually is it's passed down through parents and generations, and it's a social norm. Yeah. It's actually so it's not normal to not eat meat. You know what I mean? And you become sort of this outcast, and people look at you like some extremist religious group. And really, that's how extreme the indoctrination is. That we're saying, hey, don't stab that animal in the throat to death. And they're like, oh my, stop putting your hands onto me. But but if it was a bunch of, say, if it was women getting raped or human beings being exploited, then everyone can agree. Everyone can agree that that's wrong. And that's why, so yeah, it's a lot to do with indoctrination.
But what does that say about us then? Like, why? Because to me, what we don't want to do, we don't want to indoctrinate them to become vegan. Because otherwise, what we're doing is we're like little robots now, like meat-eating robots. Now we're vegan robots. I think the vegan movement has the opportunity to really just shake and wake up humanity. You know what I mean? Yeah, they don't like it. They're going to tell us we're extremists and to back off, and we're preachers and nothing more annoying than a vegan. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I think if we hit them with hard force, I don't think it's because you're being mean or you just want to hurt people. I think the message is impacted with so much truth.
Truth.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You set the truth free; it defends itself. You don't need to. Exactly. You don't need to force anything. You just need to show people, hey, that's why I bring slaughterhouse footage with me, current slaughterhouse footage from Australian farms, and I say, look, this is what you're supporting. Do you think this is okay?
Yeah.
And they'll say no, and I'll say, well, what are you going to? Well, are you going to continue to eat animals now that you know this? And you get people that are like, no, I don't want to be a part of that. But you also get other people that are like, yeah, I still probably will. But you know what? they can never unsee what they've saw. You can't unsee it. So as long as we're out there showing them, and people can walk around, then they know. Then they know, and I think that's the first step to change. But yeah, showing people the truth. You don't need to defend it. It's there. It's there. It's disgusting cruelty, and it doesn't take much convincing once you show someone what they go through.
So how do you, on a personal level, then, what's it doing to you? Like, what's like your life on it? Because obviously, it's one thing to be out there speaking and helping people, but you have to go to bed as you and wake up as you and deal with life as you. And as you're aware that your fellow species are partaking in rather, evil behavior. How's this affecting you as a person? Like, what's happening to your life and your journey as a man? Like,
it's a roller coaster. I'll tell you right now, because you lose faith a lot. You become, you start to it's hard not to despise humanity in a way sometimes. But you have to have a very deep level of understanding as to why people are acting like this, because I honestly believe that people are inherently good. Human beings are inherently good, and I feel that there's something else going on here. So it's a battle. It's a battle when we have to sift through the slaughterhouse footage to put it up on to show to people, and then you get these ridiculous comments like insensitive comments from people that are half asleep and just saying rude stuff, and it does get to you sometimes. But I feel that you have to keep the reason why you're doing it in mind, and you keep the animals in mind, and it really does help. But
is that what keeps you going though, Joey? Thinking that they're inherently good? Like, do you know that they are, or you think they are?
Well, I guess it's a bit of projection, because I know I'm inherently good and I've done a lot of bad things in my past.
Right.
And,
okay.
People would have said, "No, Joey's bad. She's bad news. Stay away from him. He's a loose cannon."
Yep.
But I knew that inside of me, I had that empathy. So
right.
I guess I'm projecting what I feel about myself onto other people, and I feel there's hope.
Okay.
So I don't know 100% that everyone's
good.
Well,
we need to find out though, don't we? And I think that's what this message of saving animals' lives and being more considerate and compassionate it's really going to be the ultimate test for humanity, whether we are inherently good or not. Look, in essence, I agree with you. It almost seems ludicrous to say that, because if you let's say you take the past, take the future out, and just come down and look at the reality in this one moment, it'd be pretty hard to say that this species is inherently good. You'd have to say they're inherently sneaky, inherently greedy, inherently cruel, inherently cold, little babies about their own emotions, brutal about the emotions of others. So if you look at it from that point of view, it's not a pretty sight. However, there is this sense and I think what you said earlier kind of triggered in my head when you said something else is up. And I think that is the case. I think that's what we need to start looking at is why are we behaving this way? Instead of judging it or defending it, I think we do need to say, this is the truth. We are behaving as everything I've just described, but we know that we're not bad into that degree. So why are we doing this, And this is what I've been exploring with my life is to answer those questions. Because I think if we can't answer that, then how are we going to learn? Like, how are we going to change? We're just going to keep reshaping the abuse, which is what we've been doing throughout history. You know what I mean? Yeah. We'll stop one sort of abuse because we get new laws, but then we just channel it over to somewhere else. So we don't really get anywhere in that sense.
No, like welfare and stuff like that. It's just treating them good before you chop their head off and things like that. And yes. I just feel like that's one of the biggest obstacles to the movement is these, cage free. We'll just put them in a bigger cage. And, it's like, we'll put the Jewish prisoners in a bigger cell in Auschwitz before we gas them. It's like it's still wrong, and I think it's a massive obstacle because they're like, oh well, I got free. I used to be like this, free range. I wouldn't get the cage. They'd be like, oh, free range. It's it's better. I can sleep well at night. The baby chickens are still getting ground up alive.
Yes, yes.
It's
But then you also too, you got to ask the question: if they want to bring in better welfare for animals, that means they're acknowledging that animals have feelings and emotions, and that they really are people inside that different-looking creature. So if we've acknowledged that, it gets a bit weird to treat them well and then murder them and then eat their dead bodies. Like, I don't think people are getting it. It's like a zombie planet where we're eating flesh.
Oh,
of little babies and little sweet creatures. It's absurd.
hey, they are all basically children. They're all
Yes.
like 10% into their lifespan before they're killed. They're in essence children that we're killing, and a lot of them 6 months old. People don't really understand. I use this analogy with Jeffrey Dahmer, who was a famous. You're aware Jeffrey Dahmer, famous murderer, serial killer in the United States, and he used to seduce his So he would seduce gay men, and he'd take them back to his home, and he'd treat them really nice, and they'd have consensual adult sex, and then he would drug them in their sleep afterwards, and then he would dismember them and put them in his freezer, and he'd eat them afterwards. And I like to use that argument with people, and I'm just like, okay, so he's treated them very humanely, but he's gone to prison for the rest of his life for this. But he offers these victims more of a comfortable situation before they die than we offer animals in agriculture.
Yeah.
So, it's just massive hypocrisy.
Look, people find those kind of examples absurd and extreme, and often say that's ridiculous and you shouldn't use examples like that. But I'd like to say that I think that's exactly the sort of examples we need to use. I do the same thing myself. I often quote about pedophiles or psychopaths and just point out that we're behaving in exactly the same way. What's the difference? Just because we've reframed it in our brain and put in a conceptual idea that makes one level of abuse okay and the other one not okay is ludicrous. And I think we need to point out things like that to get that, I think it needs to be clear, punchy, and I don't think it matters if people are resisting. You know what I mean? The truth will get through, but you've got to stand in that truth and not budge.
Yeah. You've always got the violent opposition. And first it's ridiculed, then violently opposed, and then it's accepted. So you get the 3 stages. Sometimes you get the second stage straight away. No, I don't want to hear that. And that's good. That's a good response. Sometimes the people that are most angry that you've questioned their ethical stance on something are the ones that are most likely to change. And I've found that a lot. Yeah, no,
absolutely. And I think, what do you feel then? Like, if you were to say to other people, because let me just say this first, actually, before I ask the question. To me, people think vegans are just vegans, if you know what I mean. Like, it's some weird thing that we become. And I can tell you, I didn't go on a journey to become a vegan. I just went on a journey through life where I started waking up to everything. It's no different than when I was at school. I was eating meat, but I was the guy telling the bullies to stop picking on the little kids. Yeah. And they were, they'd pick on the weak ones, the scared ones. And I'd always stand there saying, what the hell are you doing? Back off, piss off. And I wasn't even a fighter. But to me, it's like I didn't have a choice. There was injustice. So to me, veganism just, it came out of the growth of my life. You know what I mean? It's not like I am a vegan, but veganism represents, to me, everything. It represents truth, it represents honesty, it represents courage, it represents integrity, and ultimately it represents respecting life.
Yeah.
And if you can't respect life, then obviously we know what the outcomes are. And you've gone through a phase of your life where you probably weren't being respectful, and I'm sure that wasn't good for you.
No. I was carrying around guilt and shame and regret all the time, and I feel the same way that you do. That this was just a building blocks up to veganism, and veganism was the ultimate truth for me too. Like, it was, I was trying to eliminate all the negative things out of my life, and I was trying to get the clarity of mind, and I sobered up and I stopped harming others and harming myself with drugs and stuff and that, and all of a sudden I come to veganism, and I feel it's the way that you can contribute the least harm to innocent animals. And I can't believe I didn't see this. Like, I started seeing it like a while back. I reckon I kind of knew, and I was just like, wait, this is wrong, But I don't know. It was a very slow process. But once I got sober, boom, that was it. I was like, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? I think just the fact that we can sit here today and actually question ourselves as to why couldn't I see that? Because I used to go in, with my dad, and that he'd come home from work, and sometimes if we didn't want to cook and get some takeaway, where would we go? Down to the chicken shop where we got dead bodies on display, and we'd be picking the best cooked dead body, the one with the brownest skin and all that kind of weird stuff. So we're even calling it skin, and we can see their bodies and their legs. And there we are eating that stuff, and it's extraordinary. And I look back too, because I grew up as a fairly I had a happy family life. I loved my family. It wasn't perfect, none are. But I used to embrace that, and I was always naturally caring for animals. As a little kid, I was saving insects, so that was in me right from the beginning. So there I
Yeah,
was.
same here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I was saving animals if I saw them being hurt and yet eating them. And so to me, that really sparks the question about the human brain. And this is what I think that people could wake up to, that veganism is not just about pushing and saying to them, you've got to become a vegan. It's also saying, hey, have a look at how deluded our human minds are and how lost we can become.
Oh yeah.
Like, how can we move forward as a species and deal with this environmental crisis and all the other stuff going on? I mean, look, it's just not environmental. We've got a population explosion going on. We're
Yeah.
running out of resources. The planet can barely handle what's going on. I mean, who knows, all this extreme weather in Adelaide, that could be from global warming that's been going on. I've never seen weather like this ever. I've, lived here most of my life, and it's extraordinary. And I think, to deal with it, we're not going to be able to deal with it in a deluded space. And this is what humans don't realize yet, that they're actually even in a deluded space. But I think veganism, it's not just about, like I said, animal rights. It's about a wake-up call about the human brain, and that we need to wake up completely. We need to look at everything honestly. And then I think, because a lot of people say, I can't worry about the animals. I've got to be concerned about, child abuse first, or drug addictions with people, and all that kind of stuff, as if it's not all coming from the same thing. You know what I mean?
No.
To me, I see it as one big thing. Are you at a point where you see that all the outcomes that are disturbing are ultimately coming from the same place within us?
Well, we're never going to be able to treat each other right if we can't even treat the most innocent victims on this planet right, which is the animals. The animals are more innocent than a human child. They just get herded into these little, enclosures, and they're just like, oh, these humans, they're helping me, they're feeding me, and all of a sudden, bang, you know what I mean? And it's just like the most deceiving wrongdoing you could think of, it baffles me. But if we can't even treat the most innocent on this planet with respect and kindness and compassion, how are we supposed to treat the guy next door with understanding, and the people overseas, and the starving children that are getting the grain stolen off them so we can feed to cattle and kill? It's like, I think Gary Yourofsky made a very good point where he said that speciesism is the root of all discrimination. And I feel that there's a lot of truth in that, because if we're treating animals, obviously a cow's not going to be able to get a car license and drive a car, but just an equal right to life without suffering. If we treat animals like that, we're going to offer the same respect to others, and it's just going to open up a Pandora's box of, and it's going to be part of the solution, a massive part of the solution.
So do you think we can do this? Let's just say that this keeps ramping up, which it is. There are more people speaking up, more people like you emerging that didn't exist 10 years ago. Which is essential, and obviously, I encourage it. I encourage everyone to stand up and start speaking up. Do you think that the way to do this is via, forget the businesses, forget the governments, and just do it ourselves kind of thing? Like, let's just utilize, is that the way?
I believe if we wait for the government to do it, then we'll be waiting forever, because they've got obviously vested interest in agriculture and money and stuff like that. And I believe that we need to do it down here, so we get enough of the population seeing life with new eyes, and then they can vote with their dollar, sort of thing. I think that's where change is going to happen. I'm a big believer in inspiring other vegans to be activists too, to speak up. A lot of vegans message me and say, thank you, you inspired me to speak up too. I think that's even a massive piece of the puzzle too, because we've got a lot of vegans and they're too afraid to speak up. But if you show them, hey, you can speak up too, say something, anything, and getting them on social media and talking on their Facebook and things like that. And once they see that more people are speaking up, they're not going to be as afraid to say something, because they've got sort of a community here online and in real life that support them. And I think if every vegan was active and saying something and just, doing something in their local community online, it would happen a lot faster. But yeah.
Look, I think one of the tough things is that there is just a general lack of understanding of the nature of human experience, and I think that makes it hard for some people. They may have it in them to wake up to animal abuse and cruelty, but then they get stuck there. I think we got to look at this as a movement to create a sustainable life on planet Earth forever, where veganism will just be remembered as the starting point. It's not like there won't be any need to push veganism, because that you can see in a world where we're going to continue to exist, that has to be a given, because it's founded in respect, and without respect, then we're screwed. But ultimately, it's there's just so much fear in society, and it seems to be the topic no one really wants to talk about, and it's certainly not discussed a lot as to what even fear is. You know what I mean? And how much that makes us weird, and it makes us creepy, and it gives us our little sick underworld, which, like you see politicians in the United Kingdom that are respected politicians at 65 years of age, caught wearing women's underwear, sniffing cocaine and having sex with hookers. And they're the men making decisions on the future of humanity. So fear turns us into weirdos, and it makes, and then we make out we're not. So society is built to create, it's like with the Wizard of Oz. Society is the Wizard of Oz. It's built to create this full screen of bullshit. And behind it, of course, is corruption.
I believe that fear is a massive tool that is used by those in power to stop people from speaking up. And I feel that one of the biggest fears of humans is the fear of what other people think. And that's a massive, massive problem, because I've got the courage to be able to stand up and say, I'm not going to be a part of that. But I've developed this courage over time from being in the situations that I was. And I've got the courage to say, no, I don't want to be a part of this stuff. But a lot of people, they're too scared of being, not being part of the norm, that they don't want to change, and they just think that if you're not doing what the majority are doing, then you're weird, and they're too afraid to say how they really feel, which we need to let go of that. We need to let go of that for sure.
So have you, obviously you've got fear, I've got fear, because we're living in a world of fear. Let's face it, every living being is guided by fear. Fear creates our guidance, like our decision making.
Survival.
And it's a simplistic system, as you can see. Even though our inner internal worlds are very complex, but the outcome is very basic, and that's what fear creates, a very basic outcome. It doesn't create a very colorful, beautiful outcome. It creates a simplistic, dumb one, which is what we're seeing, and it makes people dumb because it shrinks your reality. Fear makes you smaller. Fear makes everything about you small, and then you're trying to deal with life from a small space. So how are you? What is it in you that's helping to rise up through your fears? Like, how are you doing that?
I feel that the more that you act, the more that you take action in your life, the smaller the fear gets.
Right.
But the more you submit to the fear, the bigger the fear gets. So I feel that just start somewhere, speak out, act. If you have that feeling inside you that says this is wrong, speak, act, and then you develop courage over time. It's not something, you're not just born. Some people are born fearless in a way, but I feel that it's something you develop, and courage is something you develop. And my first time going out in the streets, I was shitting myself. I had no social. I just didn't know how to. I didn't think I could do it. I was like, oh, this is a bit full on, and I did it. I remember the reason why I was doing it, and I felt the fear, and I did it anyway, and now I've got less and less fear and more courage, and I think just people are gonna criticize you no matter what you fucking do in life. I just feel no matter what you do, so just do what you think is right, and you develop courage over time.
So then, on a personal level, then how your let me just lay some groundwork again. Fear tends to make us more self-obsessed, right? So we're always worrying about ourselves, worrying about what people think about us. And you mentioned that earlier. That's one of the biggest things with humans. So does that mean then you're feeling less? You're thinking less about Joey and more about the world?
Exactly. You got to put this perspective. So you always remember the reason why you're doing something, and it does take care of the fear. So
as the fear decreases, that's coming out, is it?
Definitely. Yeah. If I've got animal rights as my focus, I'm prepared to put myself on the line for that, and that's why I do what I do, because I've got that purpose, and that's why I've continued to do it, even though sometimes I've felt like, oh, this is getting a bit harsh. I'm feeling a little bit yuck in my stomach about it, but I still do it because there's a reason for it. There's a reason, and it's bigger than me. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. If this is bigger than yourself, then put fear by the wayside. I feel it will just fall by the wayside.
And what's your personal situation in your life? Like, do you have many people around you that are supportive or in alliance with what you're doing with your life, or are you a bit alone and independent in it? Like, where do you sit in all that? Because a lot of people I hear that wake up in this world feel very isolated, and they're often pushed out of families and
Definitely.
relationships and things like that. What's that all been like for you?
Oh, it's been a battle. It's been a battle. Like when I first started doing this, it was a battle, and I was the only vegan that I knew, and I spent a lot of. I was the only sober vegan that I knew in my whole family, my whole demographic, friends, everything, and it was a journey, and it's going to be a bit of an upstream battle for most, and it was disheartening a lot because people wouldn't listen to me, and they just think, oh, Joey's on another one of his little trips, and but the more and more I stayed true to my beliefs and spoke out about it, the more people started to respect it. They started to respect it, and they started to respect me, and I've had arguments, of course, with family and things about it, and I just realized, look, I'm not going to bang my head against the wall trying to convince my family members that this is the right way. I'm going to channel that and help people that want to hear it, because there's a lot of people that are more susceptible to hearing this message than others. A lot of people will shut it out. Don't bang your head against the wall trying to convince your mother or your father that, and I learned that at the start because it made me, I struggled a lot. But once I found this online community, and then it opens it up, and you feel, wow, then you've got a lot of people that are just like us going through the same struggles, and I feel that community is very important. So a support network of other people going through the same thing, it really helps.
So let's just say, like, this vegan festival coming up, like, my personal issues with it is that I find it a bit tame, a bit soft, and we're running around celebrating but while the animals are still suffering and in cages. And I find it a bit self-indulgent in that sense. And that's not putting down the vegan festival. That's like trying to inject a little bit of oomph into it, which I've been, the organisers are with me on that. We have agreement that this year we're trying to make it a little bit more something, a bit stronger and a bit clearer. And that's one of the reasons I've been interviewing all the speakers at the festival. Just to see if we can get a bit more united and a bit more like revved up a little bit about why we're really there and what this is all about. I mean, what do you think we could do? Like, is it really just about talking like you and I are talking now? And what could we do to make these festivals a little bit more, so it's not just trying to soft sell the situation and make, oh, look, you can have a lovely vegan hot dog, everyone. Isn't that lovely? What do you think we need, I guess,
I agree.
in that sense?
It's not hard to get 2,000 vegans at a vegan festival to eat a vegan burger.
That's
but it's quite hard to get them on the streets speaking out for animals with signs up and showing people slaughterhouse footage on the front line. And I feel that these festivals are because you're speaking predominantly to other vegans, okay? So I feel these festivals is a great opportunity to inspire them to speak out, to give them that, and I've found that that's really, really has a high impact, because people that were too afraid to speak out, they get that spark of inspiration from someone who's got that courage and that just that oomph, and it brings it out in them, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do that, and that's huge for the movement to get more vegans active. I feel that that's just as important as converting people to veganism, more important in a way, because it's the sort of the chain reaction. So, I always spend my time talking to vegans. So you got to get on YouTube, you got to get on social media, come out to these activist events and do what you can. And if you're too afraid to do that, just do something and, and just get more vegans active, get that ethical message strong in them. And
So if they're saying that the reason they're not doing it is because they don't feel confident enough or too fearful, so your advice is what? Just do something small then. Just do something you can handle to get the ball rolling in the knowing that you'll get over that.
Rewatch Earthlings and tell me who's more fearful.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Just a little reminder.
Good place to start. But but some people do have this massive social anxiety. So, something is better than anything. Like, don't be just neutral. And social media is good. You can have just a blank profile with just a picture on there, and you could just use it to spread a message, Instagram, things like that in your daily life. You could start a podcast. You could do some street activism, whatever level you're at. But I feel like the more and more they do it, the more that courage grows, and the more the reason is enforced inside of them. And yeah, so start somewhere. Don't just be neutral. I feel that, yeah.
So when you're out talking, Joey, to people, do you find there's in the demographics of humanity that there are certain obvious types of people that are listening more than others? Age groups. Is there anything you're observing that gives us any sense of that, or is it like all randomly spread out as to where resistance or agreement comes from?
I feel that the younger girls, teenagers to 20 years old, that sort of group are very susceptible to the ethical message. They see this, they see it, and they're like, wow, I feel like they're more in touch with their sort of empathic side. And also the youth are very, like, even the young dudes, man, like the 16 to 20-year-olds are like, yeah. And I talk to them, on their level, and don't, bull them or anything. Like, I just tell them the truth and speak to them how I would speak to a mate, and they're very receptive too. And then you get a few of the older generation. You do get a few, but they're more of the empathic, and they're like, they see the slaughterhouse footage and they're like, wow, that's really bad. And it is spread out, but I feel that the youth is where they're least indoctrinated, so they're more likely to be more receptive to the message. So.
Look, and part of that is part of the functioning of the human brain. Like, if you observe the way the human brain works, it's kind of expansive for in the early part of our life into our teens. And then around 20 on, it starts trying to lock in, and that's why I saw that with all my friends at school. They're pretty much, they locked in, and then they've just stayed on that locked in pathway up until, my age at 54. And they've stayed there. As opposed to, it takes a bit of conscious effort to stay expansive, you know what I mean? So you're always in a growth seat, and you can keep that going right for your entire life. Society encourages the opposite, encourages you to lock in and specialize and live in a small place of thought. So I guess you're hitting them at that open time, and maybe females are naturally more, compassionate or emotional, maybe more emotionally receptive at that age and that kind of thing. So what can be done? I mean, is that something that needs to be targeted? Like, and I don't mean in a strategic marketing way, just from the truth. Is the truth that young people, we should be talking to them more and getting and helping them? Because obviously it's cruel, it's abuse, as far as I'm concerned, to not educate young people about what's going on in the world.
100%. Like, I spoke to a lady who, her son's 5 years old. He was coming out doing activism with us. His name was Joey too. Really cool little dude. She explained to him what happened to animals, and then she showed him current slaughterhouse footage, and then they talked afterwards, and she said, do you want to be a part of that? And he's like, no way, mum, I don't want to do that. And I feel that they deserve to be treated with respect and with the truth, and they can make their own decision based on the information that's out there, because there's nothing worse than hiding the truth from them and feeding them a dead body part. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Hannibal Lecter where he's on the plane and he's eating human brains, and then the child comes up and says, can I have some? And he's like, oh, you don't want some of this, do you? And he's like, you're a very peculiar child. And he's feeding this kid human brains. Child is none the wiser. And that scene, people are like, that is just horrible.
That's right.
Oh my God, he's a monster. And I'm like, dude, society, what are you doing to your children? They don't know where that cow come and the suffering that came out of that cow to make a burger. So same thing. Yeah, they deserve to know the truth.
Yeah, no, because I mean, I've always said that. It's I've heard even parents say that are vegan, no, my children aren't vegan because I don't want to push it upon them. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? That's abuse. You even know. And you're saying that I don't want to push it upon them. They'll work it out themselves when they grow up. And I'm thinking, so you're feeding them dead bodies in the meantime, knowing that number one, it's a dead body, and number two, that poor little innocent creature was abused and suffered and all sorts of horrible things. So yes, it's where I think there's a strength issue and a confidence issue and a fear issue that's getting in the way of this movement. So I think the truth in the movement is all good. You know what I mean? Like, that's powerful and it will do the job. I think it's us You know, we need to get our shit together. We need to keep growing. We need to like constantly be working on ourselves. And I don't mean in a self-indulgent way to make it about us, but like I work on myself, not so I can become a better David. Like, oh, I hope people like me more. I work on myself so I can do more and say more and talk from a more aware space and be better educated in my knowledge and things like that. And also to be smart about it. Like I never talk outside my knowledge. There's areas of knowledge where I'm hopeless, even in the vegan world, because I'm just not interested in the stats and statistics and a lot of things, but other people are brilliant at it. But if we all, imagine if, we all got our different expertise, you've got your way, I've got my way, and there's all these other people. If we all just got our confidence together and stop feeding our fears and insecurities, I think we could just walk through this ignorance very quickly.
Definitely. And I always say to people, I always encourage them. They say, well, there's no point me getting on YouTube. There's already vegan YouTubers out there. Everyone else is already. I said, yeah, but some people that watch my stuff might not like it. And they'll be like, and then they'll watch like your approach, and they might like your approach.
That's
and
right.
People might not like my in your face approach. It might turn them off. But then they'd go to your channel, same message, different approach.
Exactly.
So the message is consistent, but different approaches, different personalities. We need everyone doing what they can when they can. Like doing something is better than doing nothing. I mean, as long as you're not, being abusive to people and stuff like that constantly, that's no way. But everyone coming in with their own approach is what we need, and don't be afraid. That's all.
Oh, look, to me, I'm very open about all this. Like, I don't join in on any debates about how we should be doing this because other than complete honesty and strength. Because, if you really sit in the truth of it, even if it turns someone into something angry for a while, I say, well, walk into that anger and keep going. And even if they're yelling, my job is about, I counsel and take, vegans and animal activists on journeys to become bigger and more expansive so they can grow up and be a powerful human being on this planet. And despite that, I still have my moments, right, where I'm just like, I might be driving down the road and then a pig truck comes by and the pigs are screaming and obviously a broken leg or something. And then I go into a supermarket and see a guy walking around with a dead pig in his trolley. And I have my moments, where I just I've stopped guys and I said, that's disgusting. You got a dead body in there, and that was a living being. You need to wake up and think about your life. And every now and then I'll be forceful about it, and other times kind and soft, and other times just calm and educational.
Yeah,
but I don't want to control I know ultimately, of course, talking from a sane, rational, calm space is the place to be, right? Yeah. I know that. But for me to get there, I've got to give myself the chance to get there.
Yeah.
Right. So if I need to have a moment where I yell and scream, or sometimes those chicken trucks drive by and I put my head out the window and I put my finger up and I give him everything I've got in that moment. And someone could say, David, that's the wrong message. You make vegans look bad or whatever. But I just think we got to stop thinking that way. We got to get out of this sludgy, it's all shitty at the moment, if you know what I mean. It's a mess. Yeah. It's a conglomeration of insanity, and it's all bound together by weird stuff. So I think to break that down, we got to break it down from within, we've got to pull that shit apart, and we got to give ourselves the freedom to feel, and even if part of that is feeling angry sometimes, so what? Why shouldn't we be angry about this?
Yeah. Like if it was a bunch of children on the truck about to go get their heads chopped off, people would, if it was their children,
imagine it.
Anger. I'd be like, why are you pushing your beliefs on me? Like,
that's right. Everyone to their own.
Good.
Exactly.
Don't be. It's just crazy. I mean, people. Yeah, you should be angry. You should be angry, and I vent a lot. I vent a lot on my channel. I have videos where I'm just letting them have it. But when I'm on the street talking to people face to face in those situations, I'm very tactful. I know how quickly they can just turn off and walk away. And I want people to say something that sounds so ludicrous, so hypocritical, so that my audience can see that and see how stupid these arguments against veganism really are. Yeah. And that's what my goal is on the streets. But on my channel with some of my other videos, I let it have it. Like, I need to get that out of me, because otherwise I'll hold that in my heart and it needs to come out. So I think that's a big part of dealing with a lot of this too, is to have an outlet. And yeah, ride the wave.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were to kind of lay out one general sort of sense of us as a species where we're heading, what do you think ultimately that we need to do? I know that's a big general question, but you're obviously diving into the reality of life. Is it giving you a taste for, you know what I mean? I'm talking about like not just as an idea anymore, and this is what we need to do. Are you getting a feeling for where we need to go, and in that sense?
I think we're very in desperate times at the moment, like very desperate, like,
Right.
and I know what needs to be done, but I just don't know what sort of time frame it's going to happen in, and I feel like every vegan needs to be active. They need to be doing something, and if it like this isn't a game anymore. This is becoming beyond repair, and
Do you think we're going to make it as a species, or do you think we've already
I,
screwed it up?
I think that it's going to be like right at the wit's end of like we are forced to change.
Yes.
We will be forced, and then us as a vegan community will be picking up the pieces and saying, okay, we told you so, but this is what we got to do now, and so I think it's going to get to the point where we'll just be forced.
I mean, I've heard scientific reports coming out recently. I won't quote them because it's not clear enough. I haven't researched it enough. But it wouldn't surprise me where they're saying, we've already screwed it. Like we've gone over the edge, and the environment. It's a bit like like a guy he can smoke cigarettes for 40 years and be fine and healthy, or lie in the sun, and then you end up with a melanoma, but you don't get the melanoma till you're 50. You don't get the lung cancer till you're 50. They're sort of implying that the planet's going to wear it the same way. That we've kind of pushed it so hard that it's going to become irreparable, and it won't come back. Not in our time on this planet anyway. But whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I still look at it as we've got to go for it. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's true, maybe it isn't. But I think our chance is now. I think we've hit that tipping point. We're at that point where there's no more time for politeness and niceness in that traditional sense of the word. Sure, consideration is essential. You don't need to be rude to people and anything like that. If people are, I don't condemn or judge anyone for that either, because I feel like fair enough. But at the same time, I think we've got to get real that this we are on the edge, and governments and businesses are acting like nothing's wrong. They're still going along like business as usual. It's like they're in the Titanic and they're still serving whiskeys, but we've already hit the friggin' iceberg, and we're just not waking up to that fact. And I think it requires that level of intensity to do that wake up. So given that takes intensity, and given that people don't like, human beings are very defensive creatures. They're like little babies, as I said earlier, about their own little emotions. When you're dealing with people in the street and you can see people don't like it, how do you keep that you out of it, where you feel bad or confused about what you're doing? Like, what is it that allows you to keep going in that? Is that just something you've taught yourself to do?
There has been times where like a girl has cried when I've said to her, like, why are you collecting signatures for the whales when you're eating dairy? And dairy's arguably the cruelest food on the planet. I said, can't you see the hypocrisy in that? And then she's like, got and like really felt attacked and started crying. And I felt like, I felt pretty bad. But then I thought, wait a second, that product she's buying is literally killing babies and enslaving mothers. Why do I feel bad for telling her that? Why do I feel, you really got to keep your perspective here. You got to remember why you're saying this. And I've had people, I've showed people slaughterhouse footage and questioned them about their spirituality and showed them, like, do you think you can be spiritual and still support this industry? And then, they didn't like it, and they've gone and got their father, and their father has come to beat me up for it. And really like people like violent opposition. And I just think to myself, I've gotten myself into some pretty bad situations for no reason. And I'm willing to get myself into a situation for this reason, because it means more to me than anything, that I've done in my past. I feel like this is like a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm doing this for a purpose, and I'm on the front line here dealing with these people and this anger and these emotions and, you know, all these situations for a purpose. Okay. And,
Is it fair to say that that's beyond choice then?
Yeah. Well, of course you want to be comfortable, don't you? People want to be at home and comfortable and like that. But I feel like we don't really have that option at the moment. We all got to do something, and you know, sometimes it's not going to be comfortable. Change isn't comfortable, especially people that are so heavily indoctrinated. And you know what? If you do start to feel that, and he's getting angry, and just be logical, and just say, look, mate, you just read them. Say, if he gets angry, calm down a bit, and just say, okay, well, look.
Yeah.
Look at it from the animal's perspective here, and just offer some simple logic, because you've got the truth on your side here. Like you've got the truth, and you can just use that and say, okay, here, would you like that done to you or your family member, your dog or your cat, or you know, and just be logical and calm and
that's right.
Read the situation, and bring it back down a bit, you know.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, and I think people could remind themselves of that all the time. That don't look at it, don't take it so personally.
Yeah,
you know, it's look at it as you are a vehicle of sharing truth, and that's it. You know, because you're not sharing an opinion. People think it is in the beginning, right? They think, oh, that's your belief or your opinion. It's not. It's not an opinion. It's the facts. Yeah. And I think that, look, to me, what we're going to see, we're either going to see society wake up, or we're going to see a huge divide happen. You know, I was thinking of writing a book recently called The Great Divide, because I felt like this is it. You know, at the moment it is. It's like the rivers are splitting, and we'll see where we go. You know, where are we going to sit? Are we all going to come back together and finally find some unity? Or are we going to find out that some people genuinely, a huge portion of the human population, actually don't give a shit? And they think that we do have the right to abuse other species and do what they like. But for me, let's find out. And we're not going to find out being wishy-washy. And I think what you said earlier, I really liked it when you said you were talking to people, and you know, and that girl's crying over the milk challenge, and you said to yourself, wait a second, Joey, what the hell are you feeling sorry for her? What she's feeling right now compared to what these animals are going through is nothing, and she's drinking a product that contributes to that. And I think if people could think that way, because I think what you're doing is really interesting. You're challenging humanity, but you're also challenging yourself at the same time. And I think that's what creates the powerful movement in a person. And I think that's what everyone needs to be doing, because otherwise what you are just a preacher, right? Because you literally, you're a hypocrite. You're not challenging yourself, but you're expecting everyone else to change.
Yeah.
And I think the key for this is that we've got to grow up as we're asking. So we can't not ask, right? But we can't ask from a place of weakness. We've got to ask from a place of honesty, where we admit, I've got to grow too. You know, maybe there are things tomorrow someone's going to say to me, David, are you realizing that you do certain things in your day-to-day life that contributes to this, this, and this? And you know, and to embrace everything. Great, thank you. And then you wake up more and more and more. So it's not about like, I'm right and you've all got to live the way I want to live. Yeah. It's about, hey, I know this though, right? Yeah. And I'm always on a growth pathway. And if someone could come back with more education to explore with you, then I think that's something to always invite. But one of the keys, I think, Joey, is not to debate. Do you find that you keep it out of a debate as such?
I feel that people, they beat around the bush with all these outskirt issues and I just try to get it back to the core issue.
Yep.
This is the animal getting its head chopped off. Do you think this is okay? And they'll be like, yes, but over here and all these like side arguments about, you know, bugs getting squashed by cars and all this just ridiculous side arguments to try to deter you, and you just bring them back to the issue here. Do you think that cutting a living creature's head off that wants to live for a sandwich, do you think that that's morally right? And that's the only argument you need to make. Yes. And if they say no, then they have to agree that they're living a life that, you know,
exactly
is morally wrong.
That's right.
Against their moral beliefs. So
no, 100%. And I think that's that's what we can do, right? Keep it coming back to the truth. Keep bringing it back to the truth. Again, that's not an opinion.
They'll try, mate.
Oh yeah, they'll take it everywhere they can.
Really, they pull out some really full-on like straws, mate. I tell you,
are you seeing consistency in people's arguments though? Like, is everyone got something different, or is it coming back with some cliche stuff where there's that justification argument that's getting.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. The more that you interact with people, you'll find the same justifications over and over again. So once you get good at it, once you know these sort of responses people make, you become an efficient activist because you've got the answers there.
Yeah.
You already know what to say to someone who says that. And you always keep the core truth in mind. It's animals getting their head cut off for a sandwich. It's not okay. So whatever they say does not justify that. Otherwise, you put it back onto them and you say, would you think it justified if you were treated like that?
Yeah.
And if they say no, then why is it just, what difference do you have to a cow that makes it okay for the cow? We both want to live. We both want to live in peace and without suffering. And
Yeah, I had a good friend that I knew many years ago who was very close in my life, and they were appeared to be an animal lover anyway. They certainly loved dogs and were very good to them and all that kind of stuff. And then we drifted apart for 20 years, and then reconnected via another dog that needed a home. And I ended up giving that. They called me up and said out of the blue, I've got this dog. Could you? Because she knew I was an animal lover. And I said, sure, I'll take him on. And I didn't know what I was going to do with him, but someone had to give him a home in that moment. So I said yes, thinking I'll figure it out. I still got him, by the way. But the point was, and then she said to me, but David, if I'm going to bring him over, because she had to drive from Melbourne and hang out, I don't want you going on about this veganism stuff. I don't want to hear about that. I'm here to enjoy myself and relax. And then when she arrived, she said, she reminded me again, David, I love my meat. So please. And I said, can I just stop you right there before we go any further? Can I just say what you just said in the way that it actually is? And then she's looking at me and she goes, yeah. And I said, so you're telling me you love the byproducts of abuse, torture, and murder of innocent little creatures. And you love eating the flesh as the byproduct of that. Can we just agree that that's the facts? And of course, that is the facts, right? She had to look at me, and that created a massive shift by just not allowing her to keep calling it by something of convenience. Meat.
Euphemism.
How convenient. Meat. Because meat is food, right?
Yeah.
And then food is okay. Food is part of society. Food is in the supermarkets. Hey, it's all good, everyone. It's a freaking free for all. So for me, it's always about bring it back to the truth. And I think, you're living proof that works.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that anybody listening that wants to wake up, face the truth. Don't ask me. Don't ask you. It's there to be seen. You know what I mean? Just look for truth and it will do the job. Truth can liberate your life, even on a personal level. It's the most liberating thing in the world.
Oh, exactly. Avoid euphemisms. People like to call these things something that they're not. Call it what it actually is. Like you said, this is a dismembered corpse of a decomposing flesh of an animal that suffered. It's not a piece of meat. That's not chicken. That was a chicken. Okay, that was a living chicken that you're eating right now.
Yeah.
Okay, or that's that's not ice cream. That's rape cream. That's a product of rape and slavery.
Yeah.
And tell them what it actually is. It's not offensive. It's the truth. That's what it actually.
That's right.
Yeah.
And look, and that comes out of the acknowledgement that the human mind currently exists in a conceptual space.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we see different religions and belief structures, and whether it be people barracking for different football teams. I mean, think about it. Like soccer, people will fight and over a soccer game, for example. Which I understand all that, but that's what we got to break out of, right? Because the conceptual world creates wars, it creates violence, it creates destruction, and it also creates the manipulation and abuse of anything that you can take advantage of, should there be no one around to tell you not to. And we know that that's what humans do. You take, let's just say that power out in Adelaide. Let's say they couldn't fix it and it lasted a month. How long would we stay peaceful for? How long would we behave ourselves for if the armies didn't come in and suddenly there were cops everywhere with guns? And, the truth is, as long as we're in this conceptual space, which is a fear-based reality, we're never going to behave properly. We can tell ourselves anything we like. Yeah. You can distort information around in your head and make up stories, and then we just end up living in a story rather than reality.
Yeah.
And I think it's time. What a time for human beings to get real with themselves, with each other, our connection to each other, our connection to the planet, and just get real about what we are, and also get real about our potential. Because, to me, when you say we're fundamentally good, I don't know whether we're fundamentally good. I think right now we're fundamentally evil. But the truth is, if consciousness is awoken, we're no longer evil. The human brain, guided by fear, creates an evil reality. Guided by consciousness, creates a beautiful outcome of life. And I think that that's the shift that needs to happen.
I guess I see more of the potential, and I feel that what we're doing is against our nature. I feel like, I know it's our nature now, but I feel that it's so hypocritical and wrong that it's somehow against what we are supposed to be as a species. So that's sort of my idea. I understand how evil humans are, right? And it's easy to lose faith, but I see the potential, and I hope that
it's there. It's there, but we'd have to really get real. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of work, and we got to stop pussyfooting around the truth, and we got to just say it how it is. And the more and more people that do that, the quicker this is going to move along. And I am optimistic in the sense that I see it happening just in the last 2 years. 2 years, and I see more and more people speaking up. More and more people doing what I was doing on the streets a couple of years ago, and they're doing it now. And it's just like boom, boom, boom. And there's people, more speakers and more passionate vegans, and everyone's getting on board with this. And it's awesome to see.
Yeah. So overall, Joey, just on a final note, I think that I love your passion, by the way, because it is inspiring. We can all inspire each other. I watched some of your videos, and I felt this kick of, pushing me up higher and to do more. And, and I think that's what we can all do for each other. We can all inspire each other, educate each other as much as educating other people. I think we got to realize that we don't want to create this weird idea of separation between us and, vegans versus meat eaters in a sense, because ultimately, we're all the same in essence. Yeah. And I think that, we can grow up and wake up, but we've got to get very real. And I think, it's a little bit like, here's where we need to be, and here's where we started. And I think we've come up about that far, but we got that far to go. And we think we've traveled a long way. So we got a long way to go. And I think it's only going to get there when we really, really push that hard and make it happen. And so overall, Joey, you're telling me you have hope and faith, and that we can do this, right?
Yes. I mean, it might not seem like that on the surface here, but I also have seen a massive growth in the movement and in vegan activism, and just like in Israel, and it's happening. It is happening. Like I feel that there's social media, the power of the internet. The people have this information at their fingertips, and they can be scrolling through Facebook. You can't avoid it. There it is. Slaughterhouse footage. There it is. What happens in the egg industry. Yeah. People are sharing it. Vegans, because it's easy just to press share on your Facebook. And there it is. It's coming up, and people oh no, I've seen it now. I can't not see it ever again.
That's right.
And then the change will happen. It's going to be like a snowball effect, and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and hopefully we reach a tipping point sooner or later. So.
And I think what you just said then is really important. You got to have faith that the truth, once it gets in, even if the person is denying it, even if someone is arguing with you, you don't even have to debate. Just say what you got to say and move on then. You know what I mean? If they really won't talk to you, then you got to get to that point. But have faith that you've said it, they've heard it, they've seen it. That's why I think you going around with, like showing footage and stuff, that's fantastic. Because once it's in their head, it's in their head. They can tell themselves whatever stories they like, right? Yeah. The truth is it's cruel, and the truth is that cruelty is now in their mind, and they know. And once someone knows, they know. And I think eventually that truth will break down the bullshit and the lies and the deceit that they've created.
And once they know the truth, all they have to do is live in alignment with that truth, because that will never leave them.
That's
right.
And
they'll always be living out of alignment. Yeah. And once they live in alignment, they'll be at peace.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think you're a living example of what the future could look like, Joey, and I applaud you for that. So, and thank you for your time today too. I really do appreciate it, taking that out, because this is what I think, people need, is to hear people like yourself that have the courage to, you admitted your past. You're not protecting anything. You're just putting yourself out there. And I think if we could all do that, we really can do this, so I'm with you on that. I think there is hope, even if we are at the moment not looking too good as a species. I think that if we wake up as to why we're behaving that way and start challenging ourselves, stop being so weak about fear and insecurities, and start telling them to piss off and let's do what's right rather than what we think we should be, this change can happen. So, look, I look forward to, hopefully we'll cross paths at the at the Adelaide Vegan Festival, and maybe even have a little chat and film a conversation there, or I might
For
even
sure,
see what's
definitely.
going
That'll
on.
be great.
So that'd be cool.
Definitely. Well, I feel massively inspired now, David. It's great talking to you.
Oh,
and
good.
It gave me that little feeling, the little buzz that I needed. So thanks heaps for that.
Brilliant. All right, Joey, me too. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
All right, see you later.
See ya.
Okay, bye.